Right then, I want to talk about a big survey. It's in the Sunday Times newspaper today, commissioned by a 5-part podcast and YouTube series hosted by the documentary maker Tim Samuels called White Men Can't Work. It suggests that nearly half of white men in the UK are self-censoring at work because they fear saying the wrong thing could cost them their jobs. Some 41% say they feel anxious that they can be sacked for doing or saying the wrong thing. More than a third, 36% of those under 34 say they have lost out on a promotion or other opportunities because of their race or gender. This is according to polling by JL Partners. Almost half believe they will be worse off than the current generation. 49% agree with that. More than a third overall think white men are the least valued workers in the workplace. 31% say they think their sons will have fewer opportunities because of their race or gender. Younger men are very despondent about their futures. That is what the person who commissioned this is, Tim Samuels. This is what he says. All this pushing towards populism and the likes of Andrew Tate. What do you make of this? What do you think about it? Let me know your thoughts. Let's hear the thoughts of Connor Tomlinson. He's a writer at Courage Media. Connor, does this surprise you in any way?
No, it doesn't, Peter. I mean, I remember when I left university in the midst of the pandemic, the lockdowns, and we would have a postgraduate email once a week providing graduates with prospective job opportunities. And I was, in my parents' bedroom trying to do self-employed work to make ends meet at the time and applying to large numbers of jobs. And it was really dispiriting because you'd go on the job description and it would say something innocuous like it's involved in recruitment or copywriting, and it would still say BAME applicants only apply. And you can blame, certain capricious diversity initiatives enforced by corporations headquartered in the States who are looking for ESG funding. I know the funds have diminished a lot since President Trump was elected, but part of the ability to get that investment from capital firms and hedge funds was that you had to show your commitments to diversity, equity and inclusion. But part of the reason a lot of corporations and public sector bodies do this, and remember we have per capita a larger civil service than communist China, so if you can't get a lot of private sector jobs, a lot of people will be applying to the public sector as well. A lot of the reason that they're discriminating against white men is because of pieces of legislation like the Public Sector Equality Duty in the Equality Act 2010, the Corporations Act, or the Companies Act of 2006, that says that you, as a company, have to engage in sort of corporate social responsibility and show your fealty to equality, diversity, inclusion, and the Charities Act 2011 that means that taxpayer money is spent on lobbying bodies on behalf of racial and gender grievance activists who make white men public enemy number one, and they have to uphold commitments to diversity, equity and inclusion. So if you repealed these laws, white men might get a fairer shake and they might feel less dispossessed about their own country.
So your contention is certainly that the law is stacked against white men through these different bits of legislation that you're talking about. I mean, we're told time and time again that people should have equal opportunities, but that's clearly not the case for everybody at this point. Some would argue, of course, let me play devil's advocate with this, although I basically agree with you, that for such a long time, white men had it very easy in this country, and actually women had a bad time, ethnic minorities had a bad time, there were problems in the workplace, problems in recruitment policies. Maybe this is just a correction of the market. Maybe we should just say, actually, it'll all work out in the end.
Well, the problem with that is that to object to giving women or minorities an unfair hearing in the marketplace was to complain that they were being treated with bigotry on the basis of their race and gender. Okay, then if you're applying collective punishment to white men who have done nothing wrong and have inherited this sort of burden of historical guilt, you're imposing the same race and gender discrimination on them. And I think lots of people, unfortunately, Peter, don't think of it in that way. I think there are lots of reasonable-minded people that probably listen to your show that think, yeah, you shouldn't arbitrarily discriminate against people on the basis of their race and sex. And that's why they think those discriminations in the past, those anti-meritocratic discriminations, were wrong. But there's lots of people now who do not extend morality to people that don't share their skin color or don't share their gender because they're woke ideologues, and think, well, you know what, I'm happy that this discrimination is in place because, one, it advantages me, so I don't have to be as competent as my peers and I might get a leg up on diversity grounds, and two, if I harbour some sort of actual racist resentment towards white people, well, then diversity, equity, and inclusion provides a sort of polite window dressing for my racial grievance that most people would say, well, you're a racist for thinking that about white men, if I didn't say, whoa, I'm only discriminating to correct historical injustices. So this does actually give cover to real and present anti-white racism.
Do you think most people are a little bit racist anyway in some of their attitudes? Do you believe, have prejudices, not just on race, but on gender, class, whatever?
I'm not really interested in witch hunting for people's private thoughts. I think most people.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, do you think that exists?
Well, I think the word racist is wrong to apply here. I think most people have like an in-group preference, or they're a bit tribal, so they want to be around people that are familiar to them. This is why and I'm all for this, by the way, rather than pushing people to adopt other people's cultures or live arbitrarily together, if you just give people freedom of association, they tend to cluster around groups that are culturally and religiously and ethnically proximate to them, because it kind of allows you to read the minds of the other people you're around, so it lets you turn off and be a bit more of a cognitive miser, some of your very rational thinking capacity. So it's less stressful. So I think, yeah, people are quite tribal. My issue is that, okay, fine, people are tribal and they want to associate with people that are culturally similar to them. But if you say that as a white British person in this country, you're accused as racism. But if you're an ethnic minority, you're not only allowed to do that, you're actively encouraged to do that. And so I think that we should just stop the state empowering one group to be as tribal and even vitriolic as they please, while telling the white British that if you do a similar thing, or even just want a meritocratic open playing field, you're a racist.
What about non-white people in all of this? Professor Alex Edmonds is from the London Business School is quoted in this article. It says, it may well be that sometimes there will be a white male who's qualified for the job but gets turned down for non-meritocratic reasons. I was once approached to apply for a board position because I was told that the board needed more non-white faces. I thought that's extremely insulting. I worked in South Africa for about 6 months on my gap year many years ago, and my best friend there is a mixed race woman, and she got a promotion, and I said, well done, you're a great journalist, very, very well done, fully deserved. And she said, well, no, there's so much affirmative action, positive discrimination against people who were in the really weird phrasing of the time, previously disadvantaged, that she felt she had got that promotion simply on the basis of her skin colour. I mean, it is demeaning to people to promote them simply because of something they cannot control, nothing to do with their ability, all to do with the colour of their skin or their sex or whatever.
Yeah, I know people that have had this happen to them. I mean, my fiance's gotten a job that she really wanted before, and then was very disheartened when she walked in on the first day and learned that essentially there were too few women in the company. So she had her application, which was, glowing, and she was very well suited for the job, but bumped up the list purely because she was a woman. I also had a friend, there was a scandal a couple of years ago at the University of Kent, where I went to, where the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Coordinator had put out a white privilege questionnaire and said that, if you can walk around the shop without being followed by a security guard, or if you can wear second-hand clothes without people making a comment, then you're white privileged. This same woman approached a mixed-race fellow who was on the student union board. He was elected there because he's a very popular member of campus, great guy. And she said to him, well, you're our only minority male staff member, so you've got to do Black History Month. Wasn't in his job description, but just imposed it upon him, thinking that he had some sort of racial consciousness. And he was very resentful of this. So, look, there are quite a few people who, unfortunately, as we saw with Black Lives Matter, the sort of unleashing of racial resentment, there are quite a few minorities in the country who do not hold the same individualistic, meritocratic ethos as you or I do, Peter. But there are also quite a lot of people who are ethno-cultural traditionalists, this is Eric Kaufman's term, who come from another country but identify strongly with the culture, with the people, and would like to see those people thrive and flourish and live in that country because they came to the country because they want to be in it, who feel very insulted if they are only put in a job because of the colour of their skin, not the content of their character.
Connor, thank you. Very, very interesting to talk to you. That's Connor Tomlinson there, writer at Courage Media. This is a new poll. It's in the Sunday Times today about white men.